You've asked yourself this question 1,000 times. Why do I feel out of place in this world? Why does nothing feel quite right? Why do the conversations feel shallow? The systems feel wrong. The rules feel suffocating. Why do you keep looking around and thinking, there must be more than this? You've always known. Deep down, you've always known the truth. You were never ordinary. You were never meant to fit in. That's why you've always felt different. That's why you've been misunderstood. You feel like you don't belong here because you don't. Download your free guide, 10 Signs You Were Never an Ordinary Soul. It starts early, doesn't it? At school, when everyone else laughs at things you don't even find funny. When you ask questions teachers don't want to answer. When the other kids seem to live comfortably inside a box that you could never fit into. That feeling didn't disappear when you grew up. It followed you into adulthood, into jobs, relationships, into society itself. You sit in offices and feel your soul being drained. You stand at parties and feel disconnected. You watch the news and feel like it's all a performance. That's why you've always felt different. That's why you've been misunderstood. They've told you the problem is you, that you are too sensitive, you are too intense, that you need to accept things. But that's a lie. The truth is, the problem is not you. The problem is the world you were born into. You don't feel at home here because this world was never designed for you. It was designed to crush the extraordinary, to silence the misunderstood, to break the souls that refuse to conform. You were never ordinary. You were never meant to fit in. That's why you feel out of place in this world. You carry something inside you that others have forgotten, a memory, a vibration, a calling. When you feel out of place, it's not because you're defective, it's because your soul remembers another way of being, a world where freedom was real, a world where rage was sacred, a world where truth wasn't suppressed. That's why you've always felt different. That's why you've been misunderstood. That's why you feel like you don't belong here. Because your soul refuses to forget. It hurts, doesn't it? To walk through life always feeling like the outsider. To be told you're too much, or too intense, or too sensitive. To be surrounded by people who never really see you, to feel like you're speaking a language no one else understands. You feel like you're carrying a truth no one else dares to acknowledge. That's why you've always felt different, because you were never ordinary. You were never meant to fit in. You've probably asked yourself, if I feel this, why don't others? The answer is simple. Most people have been broken. They've been conditioned, programmed, numbed. They've traded freedom for comfort. They've silenced the voice inside them that still screams for more. But you couldn't silence it. You couldn't kill it. You couldn't make yourself ordinary. That's why you've been misunderstood. That's why you feel like you don't belong here. Join the Catharsians on Patreon to unlock your hidden power. Everywhere you look, the world tells you work, obey, consume, repeat. But every fiber of your being rejects it. You can't force yourself to worship money the way others do. You can't convince yourself that a 9 to 5 life is all there is. You can't kill the part of you that still rages against the machine. That's why you've always felt different, because you weren't born to serve the system, you were born to break it. When you feel out of place, when the world feels hostile, when you feel suffocated, it's not weakness, it's not failure, it is rage. And rage is sacred. That Catharsian rage you feel inside is the proof that you still remember. It's the fire that refuses to let you be silenced. It's the energy that tells you this world is wrong and you were never meant to conform to it. You were never ordinary. You were never meant to fit in. That's why you've always felt different. The reason you feel out of place is because you are out of place. You're not of this world. You're of something deeper, older, freer, greater. You were born into this system, but you were never meant to be part of it. You carry the blood of forgotten tribes. You carry the memory of freedom. You carry the spark of rebellion. That's why you've always felt different. That's why you've been misunderstood. That's why you feel like you don't belong here. Because you're Carthasian. For years, you thought it was just you, that no one else could feel this way, that maybe you were broken. Do you see what they did? They made you question your own identity. But you were never broken. You're not alone. There are others like you, others who feel out of place in this world, others who refuse to be silenced, others who carry the same fire. You are a Carthasian leader. Say these words again until they burn into your bones, because they are your identity. You were never ordinary. You were never meant to fit in. That's why you've always felt different. That's why you've been misunderstood. You feel like you don't belong here because you don't. And now it's time to stop pretending that you do. Join the Catharsians now on Patreon to unlock your secret, suppressed, hidden power.